Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Infinity Science Center here in beautiful Hancock County, Mississippi, for this interesting and exciting space announcement today by our governor and our distinguished guests. Before we get started today, I just wanted to take a few quick time out to talk about the logistics for the event this morning. We will be having two sets of remarks today, two announcements this morning. After the second announcement, we will be having a signing of an executive order here at the table. So if you are a statewide elected, or state elected official or local elected official, we're going to get you up here after that signing. So please feel free to come forward for that when the time comes. If we have to move the table, we will. Let me just say a few brief thanks before we get started to the Infinity Science Center for hosting us today, for NASA's Communication Department at Stennis Space Center for helping out, for partners, for Stennis and Michoud, for their in-kind contributions, and for our staff at the Port and Harbor Commission for helping put this event together today. Governor Phil Bryant is an amazing economic development talent. I've been with the governor on meetings with companies from India to the United States, literally all over the planet. And he is really our top economic development chief of the state and a true leader in economic development. He's going to tell you about some of those successes, but I want to give you a personal testimony today about how great a relationship this has been and how Hancock County and Stennis and space in general has been a major feature of his behind-the-scenes work. The things you don't see, like an entire day he spent here with us talking to every single major space tenant at Stennis Space Center, finding out their needs, trying to help craft custom solutions to dealing with their success here in the state and in Hancock County. He's also brought together a great leadership team that has been brainstorming a lot of the issues related to space over the last year that's culminating in this announcement today. And even though he's leaving office here in 6 months, he hasn't stopped working for us and isn't going to stop working probably until his last day. So without further ado, let me introduce our governor, Governor Phil Bryant.
Infinity. I remember when we first started talking about this, I was lieutenant governor, and there was quite an investment necessary for the state of Mississippi. And as some of you may remember, we had what was called the Great Recession ongoing at the time. But we didn't let that stop us, nor you did not let it stop you. Look around you. As I saw the children getting off the bus coming in, I realized exactly why we worked so hard, why we made such an investment. These young children, these boys and girls that are here today will enjoy space. Now, we've been part of that here in Mississippi Gulf Coast since 1961, Stennis Space Center. I believe it is time now, at this point in history, to rededicate our efforts. As you see, it is a time of opportunity. Here in Mississippi, we have the support of so many of those in the Mississippi legislature, those that are here today. I'm going to try to recognize all of them. If I miss someone, please let me know. Or if after I go through the list of important people and you believe you're important, raise your hand, I'll recognize you. Mississippi legislature, Philip Moran, Senator Moran, Representative Patty Willis, Representative Carolyn Crawford, Representative Scott Delano. I saw Scott just a moment ago. I mention that because every time I go to the Mississippi legislature, ask for funding, which is a direct appropriation or bonding, they always answer in the affirmative. We're here today because your Mississippi legislature and your delegation, including Senator Roger Wicker, Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith, I know they have representatives here today, and Congressman Palazzo also answer in the affirmative. Our federal delegation and members of the Mississippi legislature, our board of supervisors, our mayors, the organizations that all come together, the 100 aerospace industries that we have across the state of Mississippi. I just left Germany. I arrived home about 7 o'clock on Saturday night, so I'm not sure exactly what time it is. But I know I was so very proud as I was there talking to Siemens and as I was there talking to Continental and companies that are the history of Germany and telling them about our manufacturing excellence and how we have 100 aerospace industries in Mississippi and how surprised they look. Companies like Aerojet Rocketdyne, Lockheed Martin, Rolls-Royce, Northrop Grumman. But we're going to announce a new one today. Now, I've already announced this to the world. Because we were at Select USA. That is the largest international economic development forum in the world, held in Washington, D.C. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross heads that, and as I told him that day, I would be sitting on stage and I had an announcement to make. He said, I thought you would. There's no better platform to highlight the successes of Mississippi than Select USA, because if they're thinking about selecting USA, I want them to select Mississippi. To do that, you have to make them realize that we can do the unimaginable. It would be hard for me to imagine that someone would say there's going to be an autonomous manufacturer of propulsion systems one day, rockets for commercial launch services, and they're going to do so with a 3D process. 95% of it will be 3D, made with powdered nickel. The only one in the world that will happen, and it will happen here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, at Stennis Space Center. There'll be 190 new employees added, 190. Imagine the jobs, if you will. You're a young man or young woman going to one of our great community colleges or one of our great universities like the University of Southern Mississippi. And you want a job developing the new propulsion system that will put man on Mars again, temporarily, as he then, or she then, will be traveling to Mars and beyond. Well, there's a company coming, and there's a young man here today that was a co-founder of that company. And I sat there on that stage in front of those 3,000 people at Select USA, and all the world was watching. I announced with great joy that Relativity Space will be coming to Mississippi. Now, they're from Los Angeles, California. They could have chosen any state in the world, but they are here. Jordan Noon, the co-founder, is here today. I'm going to ask him to come forward as they talk about the $59 million investment, 190 jobs that are here. Jordan, we want to thank you for believing in Mississippi. This is the commercialization of space so many people have talked about, and how we're going to be a part of it. The opportunities that exist out there are unlimited. Whether it's energy or whether it's manufacturing, that's right, if you're going to manufacture something, you may want to manufacture it on the surface of the moon. The opportunities there are very important to all of us. And if we're going to get there, Relativity Space and the others I named are going to help us. So Jordan Noon, I'd like for you to come forward, tell us a little bit about your company as we today announce our new Space Initiative commercialization.
Hello everyone, my name is Jordan Noon. I'm co-founder and chief technology officer of Relativity Space. We're really excited about the announcements coming today and to share the story of what we saw in Mississippi 3 years ago when we started to partner with NASA Stennis and where we see that going. We've signed multiple now 20-year agreements with Stennis Space Center going all the way to 2038, and we saw that opportunity starting when we started the company in 2015. We're 3.5 years old. We've grown the company from 2 people to almost 100 now. We'll be breaking 100 in 2 weeks from now, and a lot of that is happening in Mississippi, and Mississippi will actually outgrow our headquarters and headcount within the next 2 to 3 years, and that's 190 jobs we plan to have within Stennis Space Center grounds, combined between our test site with the E4 complex, expansion of that test site with new opportunities on the horizon, and our manufacturing footprint that Governor Bryant just mentioned within the old Army munitions plant on Stennis Space Center. That will be the world's first autonomous factory for 3D printing entire rockets. We as a company are the first and only to 3D print entire rockets, and that has involved work making the world's largest metal 3D printers. We're manufacturing our rockets with 100 times fewer parts than our competition by 3D printing them. And a lot of that will happen in the high bay within 9101. That was an opportunity we saw with those 80-foot ceilings, 50-ton bridge cranes within the facility that were a major accelerator of our ability to get massive 3D printers in place. Currently, we have all of our printers based out of our Los Angeles headquarters, but our next ones are getting built just about 2 miles from here in Building 9101 on Stennis Space Center property. Again, we started these agreements 3 years ago. We started as 2 people and saw an opportunity to partner with Mississippi and Stennis Space Center. Then Stennis saw that opportunity back, making a bet that working with a two-person company at the time would pay off as far as the future opportunity. And we've grown 50 times in between, multiple times of that more to grow over the next 2 decades. So really excited about it. Take a look at some of our technology on relativityspace.com. You can see some fun videos of the 3D printing in action and what we view as the future of manufacturing, not only in rocketry, but the entirety of aerospace. Thank you.
Relativity Space, 3D printing autonomous rockets. Of course it's going to be manufactured here at Stennis. Now we at MDA, Jamie's here with us today, but we realized that we needed someone to help market space, that we had to, not only with Stennis, but the other 100 manufacturers across the state of Mississippi, but particularly here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. We had to have someone that could work with our national delegation, someone that could work with the White House, someone that could work with NASA. And we have that. So I called him up. I still had his cell phone number. He probably forgot about that, but I didn't. So as we looked at commercialization of space and Mississippi Space Initiative, as we're announcing today, I called Patrick Scheuermann. He answered. He may look back one day and think I probably shouldn't have answered that block number, but I did anyway. I hope he looks back one day and says that was the rededication of the space effort for Mississippi. And it has made all the difference. You may know Patrick. He was here. He helped lead Stennis Space Center. And then Marshall and Huntsville, Alabama, we are fortunate to have him. He will be working with the economic developers of MDA, not just on manufacturing, not just on automobiles or agribusiness, but on space. Ladies and gentlemen, the new leader of our space initiative for the state of Mississippi, Mr. Patrick Scheuermann.
Thank you, Governor Bryant. Thank you for your leadership. And it's an honor and privilege to be back in front of a whole home crowd. But I wanted to start off by the memory that most of y'all have of why we even exist here. There were 5 Mississippi towns that ceased to exist to create what's now Stennis Space Center. The town of Westonia, Napoleon, Gainesville, Santa Rosa, and Logtown. Literally 700 families gave up their homesteads to create what's now Stennis Space Center. Stennis Space Center being a national and even international world-class rocket facility that the nation relied on to get boots on the moon with Apollo, then an extension of ourselves in low Earth orbit with the space station on the back of the space shuttle system, where we're now living and working and learning how to live and work in space. And also now working on the space launch system that'll get us back to the moon to stay, learn to live and work there so we can then move on to Mars. Over the past several decades, under the leadership of Rick Gilbrick and others in the community, Stennis has diversified its mission beyond just NASA and has become a unique federal city with over 30 federal agencies. And the announcement of Relativity Space is great to hear. The tradition continues, built on those things that the governor mentioned before, with a longtime partner of Aerojet Rocketdyne, Lockheed Martin, Orbital ATK, and others. But in the end, we'll never forget the sacrifices of those 700 families that literally moved everything they own to create what's now Stennis Space Center. And we should at every turn look for every opportunity to be able to build on what their sacrifices were for the benefit of today's Hancock, Pearl River, Harrison, and St. Tammany parishes. I too wanted to welcome Jordan to you, really stepping out there with a fantastic idea, and I love to see American entrepreneurship succeed, especially succeed in Mississippi, so congrats. Thank you, Dr. Rick Gilbrick, for your leadership at NASA and what you're doing to move the tradition of Stennis Space Center forward. It is a unique federal place, a federal city, unlike any other NASA center. And there were times, I know, in the past that Stennis was even on the forefront of what headquarters even thought we could do in partnership with it. So all the way back to programs in space for the Air Force, the RS-68 engine, and other programs that are in the E-complex and elsewhere. Thank you, Rick, for continuing to be able to press the envelope, even at times when headquarters don't necessarily see eye to eye with South Mississippi and what we're trying to get done in this region.
And let me let you know that we assure you that we will be an extension of you in places that we know you can't go, and advocate for things that we know you can't advocate for in Washington. So thank you for your leadership. President Trump announced a bold mission to return to the moon in the next 5 years, and he also made another bold decision to create the United States Space Force. And just by coincidence, I happened to be in Washington a couple of weeks ago meeting with folks in the United States Space Force as it's developing in its pre-form, basically. But this Mississippi Space Initiative is anchored right here on the Gulf Coast, what I refer to as the Space Crescent, an advanced and a new information age across the state of Mississippi, and especially in other places where Stennis would combine with, like the Corps of Engineers and Vicksburg and the Engineering Research and Development Center. They're doing cutting-edge computational ecosystem designs and working with their partners here at Stennis Space Center, NOAA, Navy, USGS, and so therefore we're not just doing space-related stuff, but basically throughout the state of Mississippi, when you combine what the federal city exists along with our military bases and universities and community colleges, you have a solid foundation to cover basically space, Earth, and the oceans, and we really have a strong foundation for the blue economy. So in closing, I wanted to be able to say that further, when this federal city, like I said, is partnered and even known across the state, it's really a great jumping point from which to launch this new initiative. And I have no doubt that if we work together, we will succeed. Besides the incentives offered by the Mississippi Development Authority, we have a quality of life that's unequal around the nation. It calls people to come home to Mississippi. By working together, we can make history and define the future. I have no doubt that this bold initiative under Governor Bryant will succeed, and again, I'm honored to do anything that I can to help it do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. Honored to have you back. When I was testifying before the Senate Commerce Committee several months ago on the blue economy, I reminded all the members there in Washington, D.C. that not only is it the importance to us, we have this ocean, and that our blue economy is sustained by it, we also have the sky. No one knows more about that than NASA. We're so fortunate to have Dr. Rick Gilbert with us today. He's director of our Space Center at NASA. He's going to come forward here today and tell you a little bit about what they're doing there and how we're going to continue to be a part of it and support his mission at NASA. Rick, thank you.
Good afternoon now. So I appreciate y'all coming out today, and Governor, thank you for these exciting announcements, really putting a focus on a very long and successful partnership that we've had with the state of Mississippi throughout NASA's 58-year career. I know that because I was born in 1961, so as long as I know my own birthday, I'm doing pretty good. So we thank you, Governor Bryant, and also thank Patrick for answering that call. You couldn't have picked a better advisor and strategist for the future for NASA. Patrick knows NASA, he knows Stennis, he and I have worked together for decades, and he's a true visionary and strategist. So I'm excited about the prospects of working with Patrick in this new initiative. As I mentioned, we've had a long and successful history working with the state of Mississippi. That includes the Governor's Office, the Mississippi Development Authority, the Hancock County Port and Harbor Commission, and of course the partners for Stennis and Michoud, many of you out here today. So it is a partnership amongst all of us to keep the Space Coast vibrant and to have a good, successful future ahead. So I think this is a key step in that will really help and bring dividends. If you go back to the Apollo program, we'll be celebrating the 50th anniversary of Neil Armstrong landing foot on the moon on July 20th. That's why I'm here, basically. I saw that when I was 7 years old. My dad kept me out to watch that black and white TV with the rabbit ears, and I was hooked ever since, and I've never looked back. It's just still an amazing feat to me, and it was exciting for the state and the country to achieve that milestone. We then transitioned into the shuttle program and enjoyed a long test history of 135 space shuttle launches that we supported here, and I'm proud of the folks that did that testing for us at Stennis. We're now moving into the Artemis Program, which is the President has charged us to put the first female footprints and the next male footprints on the south pole of the moon by 2024. This is a very bold and ambitious goal that the White House has set for us, but we're very much up to the challenge. As you know, at NASA, we like to do the impossible, so we're looking forward to the next few years in doing that. And then in the commercial industry, we've had great support from the state. Patrick mentioned the RS-68. We were doing commercial space back before it was cool, as we like to say. I mean, they've been with us for 20 years testing the Delta IV power plant, and it's been a very successful relationship for us and for them. The state has worked to bring companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin here, and most recently Relativity Space. And my congratulations to Jordan and Tim Ellis and the great growth that they've had there. We went transitioning from a service provider where we were testing their rocket engines to welcoming them as a tenant of the federal city and making major investments on the coast of South Mississippi. So we're proud they see the value of bringing time to market and also the economies of being here in South Mississippi, the talent that we can bring. So we're very proud of that, and we hope to grow that with the governor's new focus that he's announced today. I really look forward to working with Patrick, and also looking forward to the second announcement here as we welcome someone else into our space community on the South Coast. So thank you very much today, and thank you very much.
Rick, thank you so much for all of the years of your dedicated service. NASA is our partner, and Stennis Space Center is our space center. So as you heard earlier from Patrick, we don't just plan on having a press conference and walking away. We intend to make real investments, financial investments in programs like Relativity and SpaceX and others that are coming here. We will depend on Rick to give us the go sign. And when he does, we're going all the way. At February 19th, 2019, I watched as President Trump signed the Space Policy Directive number 4. It established something very important, the Space Force. Now there were those that thought that was unique to President Trump. I realized it was certainly part of his character. He understood the importance of space and how it must be protected. See, we're not the only ones going to space anymore. In fact, America cannot lag behind those that would wish to be in space for their own advantages. Like everywhere that we've ever been, Mississippi and the United States of America would be there for the good of the world, and for the good of mankind. For that one giant leap for mankind. So today we will announce, with the help of the Mississippi National Guard, I will be issuing a space directive. Executive Order 1446 will establish the Mississippi Space Force within the Mississippi National Guard. General Durballs is with us here today. As I will sign this directive, General Neighbors will accompany him. There are a few things that I've done as governor that I will look back on, I believe, that would have been this important. Someday within the halls of Congress, senators and congressmen will look and say, where should those space bases be? Where should those space forces be in America? Someone's going to say, well, they've got to be in Mississippi because you know they already have one. They have a space force for their National Guard, and the Guard must be a part of this effort. So today, I'm going to ask General Balls and General Neighbors to join me as I sign into law the executive order of making certain that we have this Guard Space Force Directive so that this day we will plant our flag and move forward in protection. Now, if you will allow us, I will sign this with the representatives of the National Guard and then ask those elected officials and other representatives to join us. One day you will be showing your grandchildren this photograph. So we've got plenty of room. We want everyone to be a part of our Space Force here in Mississippi. Journalists, if you'll join me. Executive Order 1445, whereas outer space is essential to our nation's economy, scientific capabilities, and national security. Whereas research and development in the field of space is constantly evolving. Whereas on February 19, 2019, the President of the United States declared the United States must adapt national organizations, policies, doctrine, and capabilities to deter aggression and protect our interests in space. Whereas the state of Mississippi and the Mississippi National Guard desire to do what is necessary to ensure our state is prepared to respond to ever-changing national security threats, and that our Mississippi National Guard members continue to play a crucial role in protection of the country beyond the 21st century. Now, therefore, I, Bill Bryant, Governor of the state of Mississippi, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Mississippi Constitution, do hereby direct Major General Jason Bowles, Adjutant General of the Mississippi National Guard, to establish the Mississippi National Guard Space Directive to build the foundation of a space-related mission within the Mississippi Air National Guard. Witness I do here, fix my signature hand called by the Great Seal of the state of Mississippi, year of our Lord, the first day of July, 2019.